Good evening, everyone. We're just going to give a few seconds to allow everyone to come on in and to get connected to their audio, and we will get started. We've got a lot of people that should be joining, and we're also streaming live from Facebook. So all right, well, it's 6:02, so let's go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our school board forum. It's being hosted tonight by the Delaware PTA, First State Action Fund, NAACP Central Delaware Branch, the League of Women Voters, 100 Black Mothers in Power, ACLU, Network Delaware, and Coalition for a Safer Delaware. We want to thank our partners for hosting the event this evening. Tonight's forum is for the Red Clay Consolidated School District. My name is Terry Hodges, Dr. Terry Hodges. I am the Education Chair with the Central Delaware NAACP, and I will be moderating the forum for you this evening. I just wanted to share a couple housekeeping rules with everyone. So all attendees, except the candidate, will be muted. The chat is going to be for questions only. The chat will be moderated by Toshiba Graham, and she will send the questions to me. We will have time at the end for Q&A. Only questions that will be asked of the candidate are those that have not already been asked. If it is a question that has already been asked and answered, we won't circle back around to that. We will be streaming live this evening from Facebook through First State Educate, but the comments on Facebook will be turned off. So just a few reminders, tonight's forum is just that, it's a forum, it's not a debate. The forum is being moderated, like I said, by myself. And just important to note that all candidates were invited to participate in the forum tonight. Jason Casper, the other candidate, chose not to participate. So our candidate this evening will be Susan Sander. Susan will be given 2 minutes to introduce herself as soon as I'm finished going over the housekeeping rules. We will use a timer, it'll appear on the screen. I will be watching the time as Susan speaks. If we reach the 2-minute mark, I'll just gently say time, the question will end. Otherwise, if the response is under the 2 minutes, we'll just move on to the next question. And I'll just say thank you for your comment. I will be asking all the questions and there will not be any rebuttals. So it's important for you to understand, Susan, that this will be an opportunity for you to talk about your platform while you're running. You'll be able to authentically respond to the questions in your own words, and you'll be able to, by me asking the questions, avoid any repetition in the questions and ensure that the forum stays respectful. You'll also be given 1 minute to respond to any questions that come through at the chat at the end of our forum. And then you'll also be given 90 seconds to do a wrap up. So with that being said, I'd like to go ahead and get started. Susan, I am going to turn it over to you to go ahead and give you 2 minutes to do your introduction, and then we'll get started with the forum.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Susan Sander, and I am running for a seat on the Red Clay School Board. I'm the mother of 5 and a very proud grandmother of 5 more. My family has all been through the public school system, and I know how important public schools are in providing students from all backgrounds a quality education. If elected, I will prioritize 3 things: increasing early childhood education programs, increasing mental health and wraparound services, and ensuring the equitable funding and financial transparency of our budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started with our forum, and I'll start with question number 1. What are our school board members' roles and responsibilities? How does your background fit into this role? And how does the role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
The school board members work to set a vision and priorities for this district. The board members work to ensure that the Red Clay policies are reflective of the needs and interests of students in our community. We do this by providing leadership as advocates for our students, professional staff, families. We oversee the stewardship of the public money used to fund our programs and facilities, while providing oversight of the superintendent who manages the day-to-day issues of the school. The school board governs, the superintendent administers. My experiences working in sales and marketing have taught me to effectively engage with people by listening. Communication and teamwork are essential to this position, and I will listen to the concerns of our students, staff, and family. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you. All right, the next question. How do you view a school board member's roles and responsibilities around improving student outcomes, given that Delaware has some of the lowest math proficiency and literacy scores in the nation, and we fall in the bottom third of the country?
Here in the Red Clay School District, there's a need for quality, full-day pre-K programs. This is especially critical in the areas feeding into our schools with the highest needs. Early childhood education has been proven to be effective in improving the learning experience and improving student outcomes. This is a budget and funding issue, and as a school board member, we can advocate for state funding for pre-K programs. Also, students facing systemic barriers benefit from outside school programs, both after school and in the summertime. This will be my priority on the school board. I advocate for community-based mentorship programs, which will support our teachers within the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next question. Do you believe implicit bias exists in your district? And if so, what do you plan to do as a school board member to make sure that implicit bias isn't negatively impacting students and staff?
Well, yes, implicit bias does exist, and these biases can be very detrimental to our schools. The school board must support leadership who want to create positive changes needed for equity and inclusivity. As a school board member, I will support leadership that engages in community relations in order to foster positive interactions and overcome negative decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the previous question was about racial and social justice. With this question, we'd like to think about the needs of our intellectually diverse community. Give one specific example to describe how you would ensure quality education for all students. For example, gifted and talented students, special needs, English language learners, and those from diverse cultural backgrounds.
Every student benefits from inclusive, supported environments where they're not singled out for their identity. It's important to be aware of any trending changes in population and to make sure the resources we do have are being used where they're most needed. Allocating resources to programs during out-of-school hours can also provide additional support to students with different needs. Budget review should include additional educators, support staff, programs based on needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the hosts of this forum strongly support safe and supportive schools. The Delaware Department of Education district level data shows that Black, Brown, and special education students are disproportionately represented in discipline referrals, suspensions, and arrests. What other steps beyond existing policies should the school district take to ensure fair and equitable treatment for all students?
As important as addressing this is, understanding why this is happening and by more effectively being trauma informed, we can do better by all students, including those that have been disruptive. School board members must ensure all decisions regarding the disciplinary measures take into account the variety of disparities our students face without removing accountability in individual circumstances. Board members should be responsive to any system-wide issues that uphold inequality and continue to review disciplinary data for trends. Achieving school safety means fostering an environment where students feel safe and have access to the resources they need to address the mental health and behavioral concerns. It is important to understand that school leadership can help create or worsen circumstances that affect students, including how they are perceived by adults that they interact with. I believe that inclusive and diverse educational environment remains essential in creating positive student outcomes. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So the next question, the hosts of this forum strongly support family engagement in education. Attendance at school board meetings has been higher over the past few years due to the virtual option. What is your position on continuing to have a virtual option for school board meetings, and provide an example of how you value community and family engagement?
Thank you for this question. While in-person meetings provide great fellowship and personal connections, the reality of families participating in school board meetings and becoming involved in important issues depends on their availability. The virtual format allows more families to attend the meetings. They're able to participate in the meetings without the burden of childcare and transportation issues. The best example I personally have is thanks to the virtual meeting format, I was able to attend the 2024 Joint Education Committee meeting on March 3rd. That was an amazing meeting, and I thank you all for putting it on. Community and family engagement is vital to the growth and support of our students.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next question. The hosts of this forum strongly support common sense gun laws. Given that there have been an unprecedented number of school shootings in 2023 and several near misses in our state, please elaborate on your views on guns and safe storage and how this can affect the increased violence in our communities near schools.
Schools and districts should be partnering with organizations statewide working toward building safer communities and safer schools. One way schools can get more engaged is by opening our doors to public awareness and education campaigns. 75% of school shooters got their guns from home, and 4.5 million American children live in homes with unsecured, loaded firearms. This is a recipe for disaster. And this is another emotional issue I have, I apologize. And just like we host experts in fire prevention, child abuse prevention, vaping and smoking prevention, we should be engaging in school violence prevention. Between the two candidates running for this race, I'm the only one who received the Moms Demand Action Gun Sense candidate distinction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very proud of that.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next question. There have been a lot of discussions around banning books at school board meetings all over the country. What are your views around this, and how will you implement policy to reflect it?
Well, I do not support censorship, and book bans are a solution without a problem. I trust our school librarians to make decisions about the schools available in our schools. As a student, I read many of those books that are on the now banned in some school districts, and they're classics of American literature. Students cannot learn in a vacuum and then be expected to make decisions in the future as adults with only partial knowledge of issues. I would support any policy that involves protecting the authority of our school librarians. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the next question. School boards all over the nation are adopting policies around protecting LGBTQ+ and transgender students. What are your views on this policy, and where do you see the school board's role in this area?
I fully support adopting policies protecting LGBTQ+ and transgender students. These students are our families, children, and future leaders of our country. Inclusion and acceptance are vital to build strong, compassionate, involved, and informed students. Sorry, I told you what matters report to me. In 2021, Red Clay School Board passed policy 8005, which protects the health, safety of our transgender students and their ability to attend schools unencumbered. And at this point, I feel obligated to point out that this policy passed despite the no vote of my opponent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the next question. Please list the top 3 characteristics it takes to be an effective school board member.
First and foremost, an effective school board member must have a passionate belief in the value of the public education system that provides students, families, staff, and our community. You have to be willing to put in the many hours and work needed to serve on a school board. And may I add here, I am retired. I'm fortunate enough to be retired. And I do have the ability to spend the time. Also, courage, having the courage to advocate for the issues that impact support of our school systems. And finally, the ability to work as a team with the board and the superintendent are vital. Having differences of priorities and opinions is healthy and should be discussed, but with respect and belief that there is room for a variety of problem-solving options. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the next question. Mental health continues to be a tremendous issue for students and staff in our schools. What is your view on social emotional learning resources and schools providing these resources to students? Where do you think that there is room for improvement?
Social emotional learning is essential to the overall health of our children and students. We must increase and expand the mental health programs and awareness. There are a lot of different factors that impact the mental health of our students. Hello, thank you, I just said that. The issues I faced when my children were of school age differ from the issues that concern parents now. When we talk about school communities and how children relate to each other now, we must consider student-to-student online transactions and social media. Are we preparing students to be responsible users with how they interact with each other in all forms? Again, in addition to providing resources, we must continue to examine the underlying issues that threaten the emotional well-being of our students. We can do better by preventing a crisis rather than responding to it.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next question. The school to prison pipeline seems to be increasing. What policies would you recommend to end this? And what are your views on SROs, school resource officers, and how they impact this?
We need to empower our administrators and staff, each building, to make decisions about the school community and what resources they feel would be appropriate to include in their building. We can trust the leadership in schools to make the decisions that are most appropriate for their needs. Additionally, teachers need support to prevent and address disruptive behaviors rather than constantly being left with a lack of options other than punishment after an incident. I support measures which are proven to improve student safety. We need to make decisions based on data rather than fear. The data we have shows that Black and brown students face suspension at higher rates, as well as students with disabilities. This disparity must be addressed. Remember that schools have a duty to educate all students. We cannot simply push them out.
Thank you very much. All right, the next question. Referendum is a way for school districts to raise taxes to pay for both operational and capital expenses to improve school infrastructures. What are your views on the referendum? Do you feel that there should be a referendum reform, and how does that look, or what does that look like?
I am so glad to talk about this. Fortunately, the recent referendum passed with a significant amount of support here in Red Clay. This suggests that our community has trust in and values our public education system. But what would it have looked like if it had not passed? We're in a precarious position by continuing to rely on referendums to provide local funding for our schools. We are only one of 11 states that still rely on this method. Referendums cost administrators time, and they cost our schools money. I hope we can eventually move away from using referendums as a way of funding our schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, in the past few years, there have been an escalated amount of cases around lead in schools and in drinking water. Please share with your audience your views on this and how you propose better guidelines and laws around lead prevention.
Find lead in our schools' water an absolutely intolerable situation, and I would continue to support efforts underway to ensure the safety of water in our schools. I will prioritize consistent monitoring and maintenance of our building infrastructure. I support whatever measures it takes to make our facilities lead-free. In addition, I would strengthen the communication with our community to let them know the lead levels in the school's water supply. I will always prioritize transparency and immediate action when it comes to our students' health.
Thank you very much. Okay, recently there has been a lot of talk around charter schools and their growth in our state. What are your views on school choice? Please elaborate how you've used charter schools.
It's essential that all of our schools are up to standard and properly and equitably funded. Charter schools do serve a purpose in our system. We need to have voices in our schools that are free of conflict of interest when it comes to the oversight of our charter schools. At the same time, I know we can make every school in our district a place that families would choose to send their students to for a quality education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the Wilmington Learning Collaborative, along with the Reading Consortium, has made some very strong recommendations. Please share your knowledge of this and where you stand on a path forward for the students in the city of Wilmington.
The Reading Consortium and the Wilmington Learning Collaborative are the results of attempts to solve many issues in our schools that have been hindering positive student outcomes. They come out of necessity, of course. It's clear to me that they're trying to address very real issues. These are new organizations, I believe, with the best of intentions, and I am eager to see where it goes and what they propose. One thing I view positively is that I've learned in conversations with teachers that they have opportunities to propose programs in the WLC funding. I've listened to some brilliant plans that are really creative, amazing solutions for some of the problems facing our educators. And I'm happy to hear that there is an avenue for these ideas that exists. I've been attending meetings on both the Wilmington Learning Collaborative and the Reading Consortium, and I've been pretty much energized by the creativity coming out of this process. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, and our final question, with ESSER funds, the Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds, what is your position on providing free breakfast and lunch to all students while in school? And what do you propose is the best resolution to providing nutrition to our most neediest students?
Hungry kids cannot learn. Food insecurity is a real problem facing many of our families. I believe schools should offer access to healthy meals to students under the same principles that we supply textbooks, technology, and other academic tools. All play an essential role in a child's ability to thrive in an educational environment. Districts should be engaging with the DOE and the state of Delaware to expand nutritional support to families to make up for the ESSER funds or ESSR funds. I don't think nutrition is negotiable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes the round of questions that we have from our partners this evening. We will now open up the questions to the attendees. If there are any questions, can you please put them in the chat? Toshiba, have you received anything?
No, nothing yet.
Okay. Doesn't look like we have any questions coming in from the attendees. So with that being said, Susan, I am going to turn it back over to you, and you will have 2 minutes or 1 minute to go ahead and wrap up and provide a closing statement.
I actually cannot thank you enough for providing this forum. I find it energizing. I've learned so much along this process, and I want to thank you all for giving me the time. Thank you for your interest. I hope I have your support. Please remember to vote on May 14th. Thank you so much.
Susan, thank you for that wrap up, and I apologize. It looks like there are now a couple questions trickling in. If you don't mind, if I may ask them.
Of course, please ask.
Thank you. So the first question is, you mentioned that charter oversight is rife with conflicts of interest. Can you provide examples?
That is a good question, and I've been doing my homework on charter schools. I don't believe I use those words exactly, but I do think that charter schools do provide a place for students in our school district. I'm sorry, I probably am not understanding the question clearly enough.
Did you want me to repeat it, or are you're good with your response?
I'm good. I'm good. I do believe in charter schools. I believe they have a place, and I just want to ensure all of our public schools are equally and equitably as funded.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next question is, what are you most excited about with joining the school board?
Oh my goodness. Working, I can't say this without crying, but working collaboratively with all of these great minds is amazing. It's an amazing opportunity for me, and I hope to give what passions I can to the process, to the team, and I really look forward to working as a team with this amazing group of people. And for our students, I'm sorry. And for our students, I have to acknowledge the students in the Red Clay School District are frankly amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. The district report card lists 89% graduation rates, but low proficiency rates, 42% English language learners, 32% math. This seems like students are being moved on to the next grade without having the necessary proficiency. Some teachers were told to inflate grades past students who should not be passed. Please give your thoughts on this.
Well, that's a very long question, and I'm going to see if I can pull out parts of it. I think the question is, I'm sorry, I believe the question is asking, why are we pushing our students to educational levels that they don't fit into? I believe that's what I'm hearing. And once again, I'm going to go back to the after-school programs, the summertime programs, the mentorship in our schools. I truly believe that these can help bring up those levels in our students, will provide support for our teachers, allow everyone to educate in the best way possible. I'm very confident in our teachers being able to teach. I just really would like to see additional support for them in any way possible.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. I just want to give it a second because I think last time they were a little, here, I've got one more. Okay, it can be tough to work with other board members. What will be your approach to gain consensus on issues?
Communication. And I don't say that lightly, because I know we can have opposing opinions, but we can still agree on a common common thought process of what is the best for the students. I'm very good at listening to people and hearing concerns. I believe that's one of my strongest points. And I have empathy with their points of view, and I would do my best to work with them without the negativity of being an opposite. I don't want to put myself in an enemy position. I want to hear them, listen to them, and acknowledge their opinions.
All right, thank you very much. All right, final call for last round of questions. I don't see anything else coming through the chat. I just want to make sure there's no lag because there seems to be a lag.
Oh yeah, I'm willing to wait. I love these questions. I adore this. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, but it doesn't look like anything else is coming through. All right, so I know that you had an opportunity to wrap up. Given the additional questions, is there any additional final thoughts you'd like to share with the attendees for the evening?
I just thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate everyone's support.
All right, well, thank you very much. And I would like to thank all the attendees for taking the time to join us this evening. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
I can't help but cry when it comes to kids.